never skip single leg training day. So check this out. Here's 8 single leg exercises, new single leg exercises that help you build strength, build muscle, and improve your health and longevity. Most people look at single leg exercises as prehab, rehab work, or I would say supplemental work to training. But the right single leg work can really build muscle strength, improve athleticism, and kind of decrease, I would say, those differences between size and improve health and longevity over the long term. So I'm going to show you some exercises that you haven't seen but are phenomenal when it comes to plugging into your program to do all the above. So let's go. All right, so this is a Zercher front foot elevated split squat. And because of the position of the load, it's going to allow for like deeper, I would say, flexion of the hip, bigger stretch in the glutes. And this is a very elevator straight up and down type of exercise, which cranks and gets tons of core, upper back. So I like it as far as carryover goes to athleticism, to life, right? But love the Zercher bar. You can do this with a regular bar as well, right? I'm going to stay as upright as possible. Bring the load in front if possible. And from here, think straight up and down. Deep flexion, driving up. Feel that whole foot. But again, you can see how I'm trying to be as upright as possible. Stringing the top of the head to the ceiling. Again, you can do this with a regular bar, but the Zercher bar definitely a fit. And if you have good hip mobility, you can start increasing that front plate. I'll say height, because then you can get even deeper into that variation. Great variation, but not often used, is the front loaded reverse lunge. Now, reverse lunges in general load a lot of different muscles. Again, from vastus medialis, the glutes, right? But also, you know, compared to, I would say, the forward lunge. But most people do it with the bar on their back, which can get them into pretty much extension, right? If they don't have the right mobility. And this way, in the front load, it places a lot more, I would say, tension on the core, keeps you upright. And it's a great variation for less kind of spinal loading, right? Because we don't have that bar straight on our back. But again, like changing this variation in, and you can go clean grip, or you can go Frankenstein grip like this, right? Keeps me upright, elbows stay up, I'm nice and tall. Feeling that whole foot. And again, because the load is placed in the front, it can be quite a bit more joint friendly in a lot of ways. Doesn't get used a lot or enough in programs. Great variation to plug and play. So this is the safety squat bar, half-fill Bulgarian split squat. I know it's a long name, but basically I'm going to use this for extra stability. Safety bar is going to allow me to bring my arms out. And what's great about this, I love Bulgarian split squats as is, but now I'm going to be able to load the hell out of it, right? Because as I'm going into this position, remember, the less stability that we have, right, the harder it is to produce force. So now I'm going to give myself just enough stability here at that bottom position. So again, I'm a little less wobbly. I can really get that range of motion. I can drive, and I can use just more weight to load that front leg and get more strength, muscle building, because I can go through deep ranges of motion. And again, this is something that you'll be able to load significantly more, and you're not necessarily driving up. You're just giving yourself support for that stability. Many times, we'll even use this as the main strength exercise, keeping the reps in that 5 to 6 rep range and getting great results with it. So safety squat bar with support, right, which you can call the Hatfield, phenomenal single leg exercise. Single leg squats, love this variation. We use it a ton. And here's the thing, right? Studies have shown that bilateral, single leg squats, right, which we're going to go from top down, that above the hip can have 1.62 times intensity as bilateral squats. Now that doesn't mean that we're not using two leg squats, 2 leg trap bar deadlifts, and all those different things. But the intramuscular tension in single leg work with a squat has shown to be really high. Matter of fact, your own body weight on a single leg squat equates to your body weight in a bilateral squat, right? So that means that I'm 205 pounds. If I did it without the vest, it would be equivalent to my body weight, 205 pounds in a back squat, right? But now with a 10% weight increase, which is this vest, it's going to go up to 1.5, right? So this will be an equivalent to a 300 pound-ish bilateral squat. right? If you're doing 50% of your weight, so if I added I would say 100 pounds, right, of my body weight, it would be equivalent to 2 times, right? So meaning you're getting a lot out of the single leg squat work, and also there's no kind of axial loading to it. So if I go here and I'm gonna go down, again, this is a 20-pound weight vest, 10% of my body weight. Now, I'm not getting as deep into different ranges of motion, but the tension here is serious. And all it takes is for you to do this to see the challenge and intensity of this variation, right? If I was gonna go, example of, right? So if I was gonna go 8 reps with that tension would be equivalent to the tension of a 300-pound back squat for me, okay? The great thing about it, so the single leg variation from the top, we also love having a single leg variation. We'll add sandbags, chains, right, to be able to go to a box and back up and use this with athletes to show the progression of their single leg strength. And again, it's not an either or, but these variations can really increase strength, build muscle, and something that can be integrated into your program if you haven't done it before. So the stagger trap bar deadlift, and what I'm gonna do too, if you watch my feet, is actually keep both feet flat and just stagger it backwards. Now, what this has shown too is that you're gonna be loading that front leg about 70% of the load that you're using, right? Which means that basically for a 500-pound trap bar deadlift, you're gonna get about 350 pounds of load on that front leg. There's not a lot of exercises that can do that, right? Other thing that's gonna happen is you get this kind of spiraling motion, meaning internal rotation to one hip, external rotation to the other hip, right? You're really gonna feel that stretch in the pocket and the glute of that front leg. Now I'm not gonna load it like I usually would, but you can see this stagger. I'm doing the same motion, right? To go back into it. Again, I'm feeling the stretch on this side more because of that staggered position. Nice and tall. And I'm really kind of feeling that load in that front while still having the stability of that back leg, right? So imagine this being essentially somewhat of a regression of a single leg RDL, right? Because we have that foot back, but we're getting the benefits of loading this front leg up more. So something that we do often is if we were doing a bilateral trap bar deadlift, we'll go, and we did that for maybe say anywhere from 4, 6 to 8 weeks. We'd switch to one of these. And yes, you have to do both sides, but we can really load it and get a lot of benefits, again, for strength, building muscle, and athleticism. This is the king split squat. Now you've probably seen kind of like the king squat, but with a split squat, we're just gonna do it with a single leg. And we're combining essentially a single leg RDL into Bulgarian split squat, hitting every part of that lower body. Now this can be very useful with using, for example, you can go with lighter loads and really challenge yourself on this, even if you have lighter loads, so at-home workouts and things of that nature. It can be, again, if an athlete or a person is still wanting to stress and challenge the muscle, but not using as much systemic load as heavy of a weights, this works great. And by the way, you're gonna feel the hell out of it. And all it takes for you is to do this to really kind of see the effect. So I'm gonna go into this position and pretend that I'm gonna do a single leg RDL. So I'm gonna come down, feel that stretch in my glute, and then I'm gonna lower myself and get as upright as possible and then drive up out of it. And I really like to do these with like constant tempo, right? So as soon as I'm up, so you can see here, I'm getting a big stretch, glute, hamstring. Here, I'm getting a lot of quad. I like to do this for 12 reps, 10 to 12 reps. And again, you're still loading it as heavy as you can to challenge yourself in those positions. But you can see that constant tension, and very quickly you start feeling like the fatigue and getting to give out. But again, joint friendly, challenging, and really hitting those movement patterns. So plug this one in as a supplement assistance lift into your training session. So this is the step over walking lunge, right? So when I say created this lunge, I combine a couple of different things, and it has a lot of benefits because we're doing acceleration through the reverse lunge, deceleration through the forward lunge, and then we're also stepping over into a forward lunge, right? Moving through space, propulsion. This is a lot of benefits, but also a lot of metabolic stress, right? It's a challenging variation. I usually wouldn't do more than 2 sets of this. I'm doing it for distance, for example, 15, 20, 25 yards. And again, load it, challenge yourself on this. But check this out. I'm gonna go into reverse lunge to forward lunge and then step. Now going back to reverse, step over, next one. Reverse, boom, to next one. You can kind of see the sequencing here, right? It's challenging. And you can see how this constantly moving. Now in this case, I'm using a little bit of a lighter weight, but I would actually get after this, okay? This can be one assistance exercise. I usually put it there at the end, kind of keeping it for finisher, but phenomenal exercise, challenging, try it out. Last but not least, sled pushes. Now the crazy thing about sled pushes is that you can use it for multiple, I would say, abilities. Like we can use it to build strength and put on muscle, and some people will say like you can't do that, but we'll talk about that in a second. I can use it for speed training, right? Lighter loads, being explosive, being fast. And I can use it for conditioning, right? Whether it's interval based, and there's a lot of different things that you can do. I use it with my NFL guys to build NFL specific conditioning, 6-7 seconds of work, 35 to 45 seconds of rest, which is usually a play. But the great thing here is like there's no axial loading, right? And on my spine, it's gonna work my legs a lot. It teaches hip separation, right? So I'm gonna have to extend this hip while I flex this hip, which is athletic movement. Now, when it comes down to building muscle, there's no eccentric movement here, right? Which can take away from some of the muscle building benefits, I agree. But because there's no eccentric movement, we can actually do it more often. We're not gonna be sore from it. And if we load the hell out of it, this is not crazy, but I'll still show you. But I've used this, for when I'm doing it for 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 45 seconds with heavy loads and doing it pretty frequently. We've had people that have had issues with, again, their spine, be able to build muscle through doing sled work and getting stronger. So again, if I'm doing more of a marching sequence, this one is a lot of friction. And again, I'm not keeping it choppy, right? I'm just pushing it consistently with a heavy load, right? And again, if I did that and loaded it more for 30, 45 seconds, there's a ton of different benefits here. Also, it's gonna get your heart rate up, so you are gonna get some cardiovascular benefits from it as well. And there's a reason why a lot of athletes use sleds in a lot of different formats and modalities. Again, this video is about not just getting stronger, building muscle, but building athleticism and health and longevity in your joints. Because a lot of these movements, I would say, are more joint friendly than some bilateral movements. Now it's not an either or, it's an and. So start implementing more of these into your training programs because you're gonna get the benefits of it. And again, you'll be able to train better, stronger, and longer. And for more tips like this, again, becoming more fit, athletic, follow this channel and subscribe.